10. Sentences: simple, compound and complex. We have discussed earlier that sentences are of 4 kinds: declarative, interrogative, imperative and exclamatory. Each of these is used for a different purpose. Now, on the basis of structure, we can divide sentences into 3 broad categories. Types of sentences: sentence, simple, compound, complex. Simple sentence. Read the sentence given below. Sheena sat in the park. Finite verb. The verb in the above sentence is sat. It is a finite verb. This sentence has only one finite verb and is called a simple sentence. A sentence which has only one finite verb is called a simple sentence. Read the sentence given below. Sheena sat in the park. Sat, finite verb, on the wooden bench near the pond, not noticing the squirrel near her feet. This sentence has only one finite verb, sat. The word noticing is a non-finite verb. Though the sentence is long, it is a simple sentence. It is not necessary that a simple sentence is always small. The most important fact is that it has only one finite verb. A simple sentence may have 2 subjects. Examples: Sheena and Neha sat in the park. Subjects: finite verb. A simple sentence may have 2 objects. Example: Sheena saw a squirrel and a sparrow. Finite verb. Objects. Both sentences have one finite verb each, so they are simple sentences. Compound sentence and coordinate clauses. Read the sentence given below. Sheena sat in the park and the children played on the swings. Subject, finite verb. Subject, finite verb. There are 2 finite verbs in this sentence. Sat, with Sheena as its subject, and played, with children as its subject. This sentence consists of 2 clauses. Each clause has a finite verb, and the 2 clauses are joined by the conjunction and. The 2 clauses are: Sheena sat in the park. The children played on the swings. Each clause is of equal importance and makes complete sense on its own. Neither of these clauses depends on the other clause. Such clauses are called main or principal clauses. A sentence which has 2 or more main clauses is called a compound sentence. We could also write the 2 clauses as 2 separate sentences. Sheena sat in the park. The children played on the swings. Or Sheena sat in the park and the children played on the swings. A sentence which is made up of 2 or more principal or main clauses is called a compound sentence. The clauses of a compound sentence are called coordinate clauses. The coordinate clauses of a compound sentence are joined by coordinating conjunctions like as well as, no less than, but, still, yet, or, only, for, so, therefore, and so on. If a compound sentence consists of two clauses and the subject of both the clauses are same. The second subject is usually not mentioned. Examples: Sheena sat in the park and she read a book. Sheena sat in the park and read a book. The second subject, she, is not mentioned. Complex sentence and subordinate clauses. Read the sentence given below. Sheena sat in the park because it was pleasant. Finite verb, finite verb. The above sentence has two finite verbs. Sat, with Sheena as its subject, and was, with it as its subject. So, there are two clauses in this sentence. Sheena sat in the park because it was pleasant. Clause A makes complete sense and it can stand independently on its own. This clause is called the principal or main clause. Clause B makes sense, but it does not make complete sense. It cannot stand on its own as an independent sentence. It can convey full meaning only if it is joined to the first clause. So, clause B will be called a subordinate clause. The sentence is called a complex sentence. A subordinate clause is joined to the main clause by a subordinating conjunction, like that, when, after, whenever, while, till, since, where, as, so that, if, unless, though, yet, although, and so on. A sentence which is made up of a principal clause or main clause and one or more subordinate clauses is called a complex sentence. When we discussed compound sentences, we could write the two main clauses as Sheena sat in the park and the children played on the swings. Now let us consider this complex sentence again. Sheena sat in the park because it was pleasant. This complex sentence cannot be written in the same way as the example given above. Sheena sat in the park because it was pleasant. The second clause does not convey a complete meaning. This is another way to find out whether a sentence is compound or complex. A subordinate clause can be an adjective clause, a noun clause, or an adverb clause. Points to remember. A clause has a subject and a finite verb of its own. A clause that can stand independently and makes complete sense is called the principal or main clause. A clause that cannot stand on its own and depends on another clause to make complete sense is called a subordinate clause. A sentence may consist of one or more clauses. A sentence has many clauses as the number of finite verbs in it. A simple sentence has only one finite verb and is made up of only one clause. A compound sentence is made up of two or more clauses, each of equal importance and capable of standing on its own. Clauses of equal rank are called coordinate clauses. A complex sentence is made up of one main clause and one or more subordinate clauses.